Lucid may finally be actually taking some action on their production ramp, which I'm very excited to report, although today we're mostly just talking rumors, okay? These are allegedly leaks. We're not talking about confirmed production or delivery numbers today because Lucid has not had an updated earnings call or whatever, but I report on a lot of the leaks and rumors for Tesla, so I just wanted to keep it fair with my coverage of Lucid. But they made some pretty tough decisions, according to Business Insider, where they purged a lot of their manufacturing team. 6 different high-end jobs at Lucid that were just not making the cut anymore, between the VP of Global Manufacturing, who I'm going to refer to as Peter H because I know I'm going to mispronounce his last name, but Peter H is a pretty big deal because he was the one that got a lot of credit for joining Lucid because he actually worked at Tesla and oversaw the Model 3 production. So a lot of people were pointing to Peter being at Lucid and saying, see, you know, they got a guy who helped bring this vehicle that I'm sitting in right now to market. Since he's working at Lucid, that means that Lucid must be legit, they must be ramping. But no, he's no longer there. The VP of programs, Ralph Jacobs, is gone. Head of Arizona operations, Mike. The head of new product introduction and program management, David Peel. The senior manager logistics engineering, Chris Barber. And the director of operational excellence, Keith Champion. So pretty high-end roles, okay? These were not like factory worker jobs being let go. And I think that that's a very difficult decision to make. And of course, a lot of these departures have not been formally announced by the company yet, and I don't think Lucid will ever officially confirm whether or not they were let go or whether or not these guys left on their own terms, because Lucid, with so much attention in the media right now and the fact that they're a publicly traded company, new EV startup with deliveries just beginning and a lot of eyes on them, they probably know it would look bad if they just straight up said that these people were fired due to not holding up to our standards or not being able to ramp production as quickly as we'd like. So that story from Business Insider, of course, hit the news and a lot of people were concerned and worried, but then it was immediately followed up by a lot more uplifting news, which comes from accounts online as well as Lucid owners groups having discussions with people that have sources on the inside. So again, this could all be reverse FUD if it turns out that at the next Lucid earnings call they haven't actually changed their production situation, but recent reports are now claiming Lucid has been able to ramp up to 40 to 50 vehicles produced per day. So that sounds like an incredibly drastic turnaround to me. I mean, considering in the first half of the year they only built around 1,400 vehicles, and expecting by the last 6 months of the year they were hoping to deliver 6,000 to 7,000 cars, which basically meant they were going to have to quintuple their production rate. Actually, if they were at a rate of 40 to 50 per day right now, they'd be pretty close to quintupling, and they wouldn't be too far out from their updated guidance if this report ends up being true, which I really hope it does, because I'm very tired of always reporting sad news surrounding Lucid about, oh, they pushed this back further, or they raised prices again, or they cut their production estimates more and more and more. And I know that people love to compare it to Tesla because Tesla didn't build that many vehicles at first, and Tesla had a hard time becoming profitable. Yeah, but they didn't cut their production estimate by like 75%, okay? And I do think that's an important metric. I think way too many people just get caught up with the street credibility of, ooh, they got high range, or ooh, they've got fast cars. Ultimately, how many customers can you actually deliver your product to? I don't care if you're just delivering 6-figure vehicles to customers, but if you're expecting to deliver 20,000 vehicles this year, which that's what they originally wanted, and then they end up cutting that back to 12 to 14,000, and then they cut it again to 6 to 7,000, and a lot of us were not even sure you could do that. I'm sorry, that's a big disappointment, and that's not something Tesla has done and something Rivian is not doing. So I feel bad, of course, to all of the people who put down reservations on Lucids and have had to wait longer and longer to get their car. So I'm really holding on to hope here that this more recent report is correct, because if you just extrapolate the math and assume that in the month of September, let's say they're doing about 40 a day, I'll lean on the side of caution with this report, then that's about 1,200 vehicles per month. And assuming they don't ramp up any more than that and they just maintained that 40 a day rate for the rest of the year, they would get really, really close to hitting that 6,000 vehicle estimate. So that's a lot better than the rate that they were currently at. And because they've worked so hard on these incredible powertrains, their high efficiency architecture, and I do genuinely see a lot of interest and a lot of very proud people into the product, I want them to succeed. I hope you guys know that. I'm not threatened by them. I'm not worried that Tesla's in trouble. Please, I've been advocating on this channel for years. Tesla doesn't have enough competition. Tesla needs more competition. That way their wait times can come down and their prices can follow shortly after. sure. And I don't think it's a good thing for Tesla to have this strong a lead in the EV market. I really think it would be a much better thing for other companies to catch up and start threatening Tesla so that they could work a little bit harder to have a more competitive product lineup. And in the last few years, they haven't had to try very hard. They can raise prices, lower range numbers, get rid of features, and they don't really care because they're the best in the industry. They got the supercharging network, right? So I want there to be more competition, but Lucid isn't really a threat to them until they can actually get their production numbers up and actually start delivering vehicles that don't cost over 6 figures, and that starts to eat into the Model S sales or maybe even some of the Model 3 sales. Because while that price of the Lucid Air Pure is quite a bit higher and it's rear-wheel drive and it's got a body color roof instead of a glass roof, which even the cheapest Tesla has a glass roof, a lot of people buying EVs are just looking for the ones with the best efficiency and the highest range, and that's what Lucid has going for them. And time will tell if this report ends up being accurate, but all I can say from observational evidence of the Lucid ramp in the past year is that in all of my miles driving up and down California and up to Washington, I have only seen one Lucid Air in the wild, and I don't even know if it was consumer owned. Based on the plates, I'm pretty sure it was employee owned or manufacturer owned at least. And the other thing that I notice, and it may not be an exact science as to whether or not deliveries are happening at scale, is where are all the delivery videos? Like, I watch so much EV content on Rivians every day. I watch so much EV content on Teslas. I watched all these channels take delivery of their F-150 Lightnings, of their EV6s. Like, if you guys saw my YouTube recommended, you would know, like, all I'm watching right now is EV content, and I barely see anybody taking delivery of Lucids. I know people that have reserved Lucids and are waiting to get their vehicles, but I know there's been some delivery videos, like, over the course of 6 months, but in the last, like, 30 days, I've barely seen anybody post about their new Lucid delivery. I'm not saying everybody who takes delivery of a Lucid needs to post about it. Obviously, there's probably a lot of people that buy Lucid Airs that don't have YouTube channels. I'm not even saying like 5% of people who take delivery of a Lucid need to make a delivery video about it, but because it's such an expensive car, and I think it's such a rare vehicle right now, people would want to post about it. There's so many Tesla and Rivian delivery videos everywhere I look. I would just think by now that there would be more people covering their Lucid ownership experience online and more channels taking delivery of their Lucids as the weeks go by. I'm talking about recently. I'm not talking about delivery videos that big YouTubers got back when the Dream Edition first started delivering, but maybe I'm just not on the right algorithm kick, so feel free to tag me on Twitter if there's been Lucid Air delivery videos in the last couple weeks that I have not seen. But I feel like if production is ramping up by a factor of 4 or 5, and they're like drastically growing how much production they can actually pump out of that Arizona factory, we should get a massive uptick in delivery videos. But maybe the report is just so early that production has ramped, but not necessarily deliveries have started ramping yet. But I'll keep a sharp eye out there because I want to see more people taking delivery of these things and talking about what they notice, what they like, what they don't like, because that's what's always fun to me, seeing like the end consumer's perspective. It's one thing for us to talk about specs and talk about product announcements and things, but it's a whole different type of video to actually see someone put their money where their mouth is and buy one of these vehicles and drive it and see what they love and what they don't. And that's one thing I love about the EV community, is that we all have different preferences, we all have different tastes, and we get to share our experiences here together. And that's why I'm very grateful for everyone on Patreon who supported this channel directly and made vehicle purchases like this possible. But what also makes it possible is just you guys watching. That seriously makes a big difference. So I appreciate you all very, very much for tuning in, and let me know your thoughts on Lucid down in the comments below. Take care. Have a great day.